Hello, my name is Ben Keats, and I'm just going to make a video about spacetm.uk, which is something I am producing for the many, not the few. It's something that is there for the vast majority of us to experience a communication system that enables the vast majority of the community of this country and Europe and the rest of the world who do not have the inclination to purchase expensive but cheap built technologies that give clout to anyone, any old Joe who can afford the technology to use their system as a sort of secondary sort of special branch. Basically, an informant system for the police that enables people to act as the eyes and ears of the police and have all this knowledge at their fingertips. Um, Plus a sort of paws luxury of privilege that really has no configuration to the standard of the people's work or what line of work they're in. In fact, it bears no correlation to the fact that security systems such as these that are in process on the market at very expensive prices, again, they're cheap built technologies, but they have certain facilities in them to spy on neighbours and people nearby. They shouldn't be in the market at all for every Tom, Dick, and Harry to have. In fact, these systems should purely and simply just be in the hands of police and security services. Uh, so the process of building up spacetm.uk opens up a privilege to the vast majority of law-abiding citizens who intend to feature on the Lifebook or have the opportunity of featuring on the Lifebook and not being credited out of it by having done too many grievous crimes against the Holy Spirit or other things like that. They've actually put into process a very good CADSA in their life, and they are being acknowledged with being able to view the reality of the whole process of this CADSA as they journeyed into the horizons of the reality that their CADSA became. And even if they don't know they've got a CADSA, they may have been built up and set up at a higher date to enter the system in the first place. And suddenly it sprung upon them, and they will, hey presto, they will get all the privileges that SpaceTM offers without even asking for it, without even paying for it. And that's the idea of SpaceTM. Plus, security services are also being kept sacrosanct from the general surveillance system that they're using at the moment. And as this process goes into the wire, as it were, security systems around the world, especially the ones protecting vulnerable people or children and that sort of thing, will be privileged with the facility of this process, this system, SpaceTM, to enable them to have as much equal balance and fairness in the system to protect the vulnerable and to ensure that security systems are not breached and cannot be accessed by people who have no relation to that particular security system. This is the idea. It's under the overall umbrella of UMOSRIS, and ultimately it is configured through SpaceTM, which is sort of the off-world duality of the reality of space technology here on Earth, through phone networks, computer networks, Wi-Fi networks, anything that has communications phenomena on it, televisions, everything else like that. And whether or not you take your SIM card out, or you unplug your aerial on your television, or you reset your router and change all the DNS settings, whatever it may be, but it still works. You know, whether you do that or not, and you're on the system, you've been configured through the whole DNS server on UMOSRIS system that has now put the system endemically into creation. And it is now in Gloucestershire and the surrounding counties. And ultimately, as people start to make connections with people outside, or people connect to us within and they are legitimate and their processes have been seen to be legitimate, then they shall be part of the system as well. And we have connections ultimately all over the world from UMOSRIS, which will hopefully build up our Commonwealth of ENA. That's the plan. That's why, that's the ulterior motive I have, is getting connections all over the world on the secure system, that can have a synergy with the off-world connections, that I've been creating through the system on my server. And ultimately, the whole reality is that everyone has a fair and even balance of what, their entitlement to creation is. Because when the universal program gets put in place, there is a fair sharing of all this creation between, uh, the vast majority of the citizens on this planet, because they shall have exactly what they're entitled to, because they have contributed and they have put their best efforts into making the world a better planet. It's just the few who have spoilt it, not just the wealthy people who don't have, any compunction to destroy, the ecosystem of this planet and other, and you know human beings as well, and create warfare and all that sort of thing. Not just those sort of people, but also people who, consume the most and give the least back and are the most greedy in their mentality. Some of these people won't have actually made it off the bottom rung, and, still have this attitude. It doesn't necessarily make them any better just because they're poor, because they're trying to take more in the first place, and they happen to be in a location where those sort of people are discriminated against, and they can't, enhance their system and get off the bottom rung. Um, there's a variety of people who will receive privilege from this, from all walks of life, and some people will already have the existing, configurations on their phones, or the right software, the right, hardware to enable the existing system to work. They may have that already, and they may be deemed to be absolutely fine in the system, and, part of the process of making things better for people. And they will receive, their share of creation as well. And, it's an even playing field. The whole point is it's a safe haven. It's an even playing field. It connects everyone up, to an open interface that is shared, across every platform, irrespective of what technology they're using. What it does do, though, is it will remove the consumer restraints, that people use on their systems against other people's systems. So there'll be no discrimination going on in the system, and there'll be an open, fair playing field of security and good technology, that enhances the system, prevents, viruses, prevents hacks, and enhances, the general improvement of the universal systems as they start to take root in the existing legal infrastructure of this planet's, level where we have reached, so far. So that's, basically an outline of what the technologies of SpaceTM will offer, to the whole world. Ultimately, it's not wrong to say it's being trialled on this local area, but it's more so being, it's more, it's where the whole Umosra's ethos is created and where the whole setup is being started. So it's fair enough to share it with a local community of where I live in Gloucestershire and the surrounding counties, and then spin it out to the wider world, as connections get made up. You have to start somewhere. You can't just start disparate spread all over the world, because things just don't work like that. You have to have a cohesive community like they had in California before the Silicon Valley and the whole, escalation to computer science and microchip era, took root there, and spread all over the world from there. So it's the same sort of thing. It's just the next level up. It's the legal organizational direction, and sky's the limit. So hand in hand with Sierra and, Umosra's, SpaceTM is facilitating the process to re-adjudicate the system, change, the level and balance of the world so that it's in the hands of the many and shared between all law-abiding people who are prepared to contribute and do their best for society, and whose intentions are best, general populace and the general betterment of humankind.